Hello dear friends. Humankind has been resilient for millennia, but now it has outside help. Opinion piece. Resistance. Hidden technology. Mystery journalism. Virtual reality simulator. Fear is the mind killer. The ugliest part is the collapse of the system. Whites turn grey when they delay. Let's start. According to the Royal Academy Dictionary, resistance is a group of people who usually clandestinely oppose invaders of a territory or a dictatorship by various methods. Resistance during the Second World War occurred in all occupied countries in a variety of forms, ranging from non-cooperation, disinformation and propaganda to the concealment of pilots and even direct fighting and retaking of positions. The idea of a resistance as a secret group of human beings fighting against dark forces is a concept that has become widespread in popular culture. In general, it refers to a clandestine group of people who oppose an oppressive regime or system, either in a dystopian society or in a fictional world where supernatural forces exist. Some refer to a network of individuals in government and other institutions who work in secret to maintain and expand their power and influence, even if this runs counter to democracy and transparency. In most cases, the resistance is presented as a group of courageous and determined individuals who risk their lives to fight oppression and stand up for freedom and justice. In some cases, these groups have special skills or advanced technology that allows them to take on superior forces. Technology. There may be advanced technologies that are hidden and classified for reasons of national security or intellectual property. Indeed, it is common for governments and companies to keep secret some technological developments that they consider critical or strategic to maintain a competitive advantage or protect their interests. In some cases, these technologies may relate to military, intelligence or national security applications and are considered classified information to prevent disclosure to unauthorized persons. In other cases, companies may keep technologies secret to prevent competitors from imitating or copying them. The theory that we live in a virtual reality simulator is a hypothesis that has been discussed in philosophy, science fiction, and popular culture. This theory suggests that our reality would actually be a simulation created by an advanced civilization and that our experiences and perceptions would be controlled by a computer system. It is possible that in the future, advanced technology will be developed that will make it possible to create simulations indistinguishable from reality. War. According to Sierra, there is a war between the forces of light and the forces of darkness. The dark forces are the elite clique and those of the central banking system, and the writers are those of the new quantum financial system QFS. The financial part would only be a part of the change, because in the end there will be no financial system because it will no longer be necessary. But that will come later. But the forces of light have much more support behind them than the forces of darkness. They have all the civilizations of all planets that are here to assist in this process, as well as the universal plan of divine source. So, it all works to our benefit, even though it may appear otherwise. So, be of good cheer, because it is all working for the benefit of the conscious humankind, and it is not working for the benefit of the forces of darkness. What we are experiencing now is the ugly part. That is the collapse of a system that must happen for the great shift to take place. It will be replaced by a new financial system in which we all win. Everything is moving forward for the benefit of the world, but it tends to be tumultuous and chaotic from a three-dimensional perspective, because there is so much fear around this. Everything will be fine if you are not afraid and if you don't panic. According to Salusa of Sirius, the most important factor that darkness plays with is your fears, which it creates with its words and actions. There is no better example than the terrorist threat and the resulting draconian laws to exert even greater control. Time is of the essence now, and we are ready to take action in a second. All must be lifted, and the yoke of slavery will be removed. All draconian laws that kept you under control will be overturned. All new laws will revolve around unconditional love. We are in the place now of not taking the next step until sufficient numbers have awakened. In the meantime, all is chaos. Oligarchy. Oligarchy refers to a system of government or power in which a small group of people, often based on wealth, lineage, or political influence, controls political and economic power. Plutocracy, on the other hand, refers specifically to a system in which political power is exercised by the richest and most powerful. Today, many argue that we are seeing a rise of plutocracy around the world, with an increasing concentration of wealth and power in the hands of a small elite. This is reflected in growing economic inequality, the concentration of wealth and political influence of a small number of individuals and corporations, the rise of corruption and clientelism in many political systems. Controllers. The Committee of 300 would be an elite group of very powerful and wealthy individuals who would secretly control the destinies of the world. It would be composed of some of the world's most predominant families, including members of European nobility, royalty, business and financial leaders, as well as political and military leaders. Some believe that this group is dedicated to planning world events and making decisions that happen to the world's population, including wars, economic crisis, and major political changes. Their goals include financial collapse, a one world government controlling the economy and a world religion, destruction of national identity, digital control of citizens, development of nuclear power, a post-industrial zero-growth society, the population of major cities, legalization of drugs and control of education. Movement. Those opposing the dark side might include civil rights and individual liberties groups, citizen activists advocating greater transparency and accountability in government and institutions, politicians and civil servants who promote institutional reforms and greater citizen control over power, journalists and independent media who investigate and denounce possible abuses of power. In short, any person or group fighting for greater transparency, accountability and citizen participation in decision-making could be a part of a resistance movement against the dark side. Mystery journalism. Mystery journalism is a genre of journalism that focuses on investigating and revealing stories of strange and unexplained or mysterious events in order to offer a different and more detailed perspective than that presented in the mainstream media. This may include paranormal phenomena, UFO sightings, and conspiracy theories, among other such topics. Journalists who rely on alternative news sources are gaining momentum and are spreading the idea that the mainstream media cannot expose the truth because they are owned by interested parties. So the balance of power in communication is shifting towards the alternative versus the mainstream, and the alternative is much bigger at the moment. Mystery journalism has gained popularity in recent years, largely thanks to the spread of the internet and social media, which has allowed stories to be shared to a wider audience. The aim of this genre is to offer a different perspective to that presented in traditional media, where the focus is on more conventional current affairs and events. Journalists working in this genre are often passionate about the issues they investigate and seek to provide a deeper and more detailed explanation of the events that are in the spotlight. Strategy. Those opposing dark forces may use a variety of tactics and strategies, depending on their goals and resources. Some of these tactics might include organizing demonstrations and protests to expose abuses of power and promote institutional reforms, the creation of investigative and whistleblowing groups to uncover possible corruption, abuse of power, and other irregularities, information dissemination campaigns through independent media and social networks, participation in electoral processes, and promoting candidates and political parties that advocate transparency and accountability, the filing of lawsuits and legal remedies to denounce cases of violation of rights and constitutional guarantees. Ultimately, the resistance movement could take many forms and depends to a large extent on the nature of the forces that are seen as oppressive and the political and social context in which it unfolds. Objectives. Those who oppose the dark forces may have common goals such as fighting corruption and abuse of power, to promote civic education and critical awareness among citizens, defending democracy and citizen participation in decision-making, promote transparency and accountability in government and other institutions, protect individual rights and freedoms such as freedom of speech and press freedom, work in collaboration with other social groups to achieve common goals. In general terms, the strategy of the resistance movement may involve the use of tactics such as organizing protests and demonstrations, disseminating information through the media and social networks, participating in electoral processes, and advocating for institutional reforms. Manipulation. Large corporations and special interest groups often have the ability to influence government policy making and industry regulation, which can significantly affect changes in the economy and society at large. In addition, the media can also be used to influence public opinion and shape perceptions and attitudes towards certain changes. However, society is complex and changes can be driven by multiple factors, including technological advances, demographic changes, social and cultural pressures, among others. Therefore, while certain groups may try to influence changes in society, they do not have absolute control over them. Reset News. The Davos Forum wants to accelerate the implementation of its global 2030 agenda. The Fed prepares to launch a new digital system, according to Gregory Mannarino. Central banks are trying to convince people that they will have to get used to a new lifestyle and that they could become poorer over time, according to the X22 report. Be careful in the coming days, says Dan Bongino. Guantanamo suspends tribunals amid security concerns and only 30 inmates remain. Why do the white hats risk losing the information war? It's time to start, because the longer they wait, the grayer and darker they get. Simon Pax says enough is enough, and it's time to act. And Juan Osavin has written a letter to the White Hats because they have caused collateral damage by delaying. Fear is the mind killer. The path to victory is achieved with an open heart. Even a pure-hearted human being who says his prayers at night can become a wolf when the doom of wolves blossoms, says Poet Dog. The doom of the wolves at the full moon is a popular belief that suggests that wolves transform into dangerous and bloodthirsty creatures during this lunar phase. There are some people who identify themselves as energy vampires, meaning that they need to absorb the life energy of other people to maintain their own energy. Elon Musk asks tech giants to pause the launch of artificial intelligence for a month to assess the impact on humankind. He expresses his fear that AI could be a civilization-destroying event. Musk has expressed concern about the rapid advancement of AI and warned about the potential risk of the technology becoming smarter than humans and potentially escaping our control. In this regard, Musk has advocated for stricter regulation and a more careful approach to the development of this technology. Tucker Carlson, who was fired from Fox News, is the only anti-war reporter on the official news, and also had a prime-time show. Carlson reported last week on what emerged from the Pentagon Papers leak. Tucker and Lemon out the door. Now the news is us. The news channels are self-destructing by eliminating their most popular pundit. Fox News follows CNN's downward spiral. BlackRock is a major shareholder in both Fox and Dominion. BlackRock increased its position in Fox prior to Tucker's departure, which was not a smart move as Fox lost over 1 million viewers right after Carlson's firing. In quotes, so shall my wet be that goes forth from my mouth. It shall not return to me void, but it shall accomplish that which I please, and it shall prosper in the thing for which I sent it. Isaiah 55:11. And that's all for today. Thanks a lot, dear friends.